What's that?
It's nice of you to convince somebody to send that email to Sarah myself.
Right. Didn't have to do too much arm twisting. Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, January 7th, 2013. It is 9 a.m. This is the Josephine County Board of Commissioners convening for a general discussion. Listed agenda items are liaison appointments, orientation meeting schedule, setting time and date for weekly business session, the week of the 7th through the 11th, and appointment to Special Transportation Advisory Committee, the STAC. This is just a review for recording. Commissioner Walker is on her way. I have a list of items to review as well.
These are the staff appointments. We just wanted to know if we could put them on the WBS agenda for those tomorrow night. These are the ones from Scott. Yeah,
okay.
Most of them are representatives. These have been on the board, but he needs a board appointed in order to deal with the federal funds.
Yep.
That he's got coming through.
No, that sounds good. It kind of dovetails into an issue we'll talk about with the MPO structure. I'm going to jump over to the City Council meeting this morning at 11:45. They're going to do their swearing in, but one of their agenda items is to discuss their position on the MPO structure. We can go over that when we get there. But first thing is do we have a weekly business session agenda? We can come back to that.
Working on it.
Let's go to the schedule for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Well, let's do it. Let's approve liaison assignments because that'll really help us out. That.
This is going to, I need to tell you guys about that.
Okay.
So, what was it I'm missing, Shannon?
The agenda for the weekly business session. While we're waiting on that, the idea is that I'm not available for the regularly scheduled weekly business session on Wednesday at 5:30, and so we're going to need to switch that as we don't officially have a chair yet. I mean, I am, but that's the first thing we need to do at a weekly business session, and so I need to be present for that. Otherwise, you guys could probably handle the first one all by yourselves. But I'd suggest moving it to Tuesday at 5:30. We do that. We have plenty of time, more than 24 hours notice of setting the agenda and all of that sort of stuff, which we can do this morning. I think we've got it 99%
Do we need to make a motion for
done.
it?
Yeah, I think we probably do because it's a formal meeting of the board.
I move that we change the weekly business session from Wednesday p.m. to Tuesday at
5:30
p.m.
Great.
This will be the regularly scheduled
It's the regular
every
schedule.
fourth Wednesday?
Yeah, we do one every Wednesday, but the fourth Wednesday just happens. That's not in charter that we have to do an evening session. Second Wednesday of the month.
Second one, whatever, because I mean your motion is just business meeting, move to.
Yeah.
Move to Tuesday, which is January 8th.
Is that going to be continuing on?
Nope, just for this one.
Okay.
Not a long-term deal. Is that a formal second?
I second. Sure.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Appreciate that. Here's the agenda. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries. So here's
This official agenda then needs to have the date changed.
Yep. We'll do that. Linda, I need a pen. I can't believe
That's what I was hunting.
Right?
With pens and paper.
Show up for the first meeting and I can't do everything on here. So administrative actions, order 2013-01 in the matter of an appointment to the chair and vice chair for the Board of County Commissioners for 2013. Requests and comments from citizens. So we'll review that aspect. We'll receive comments, then take action on the administrative calendar following. That's how we kind of do things, even though that one really doesn't need a lot of public comment. Then the consent calendar is various approval of minutes. The thing is you guys weren't necessarily part of that. So, but I got to have 2 votes to approve minutes.
We can read the minutes.
Yeah, they'll be available for you.
Yeah, and the minutes of which of these meetings?
All of them.
Of all of them?
Mm-hmm.
I was at several of those.
Great.
So, Keith, were you at several of those as well?
Yes. I'm not sure exactly which one, because I'm assuming it's not too dangerous of a thing.
I guess what we'd do is if you wanted to pull that land use hearing, how are we doing
I
that?
did not attend the land use hearing.
And that's a
That's a big one.
Were you there? For part of it.
I was there for part of it, yeah.
What I think we should look for in this, you're just approving, not if there's anything that you object to in there. I'll be thorough and find if there's anything, and probably won't be, but...
The land use minutes were also reviewed by David
Wechner,
the planning director, after we did those.
Great.
Simply because that's what the board, so many amendments.
Okay.
And then approval of resolution 2013-01 in the matter of appointments to the Special Transportation Advisory Committee. Good night. And that's what we have right here before us. And those people have been reviewed by Scott Chancey, our transit director, and that's with their applications are in here. These are reappointment on 4-year terms to expire January 9th, 2017 for Corey Biber, Artie Berkmeyer, Jim Bryson, Gail Reynes, and Randy Samuelson. So I think before we make that, you guys should probably take a minute to review these, and these will be put in the...
They're in the packet.
In the packet. Great. So there's...
We get covered.
That's covered.
No objection. I think this is the agenda that we have for us. Of course, there's always other. If there's something that comes up, we can change it. That's fine. So let's go on to liaison appointments. If that's okay. We've had a chance to review this already at the AOC meeting, but and we can definitely change this up if something isn't working. One of the big things I guess I've been hearing from staff is that scheduling some of these meetings, they happen at the same time, so it might be rather challenging. I don't know who that happens for more. I'm thinking me, because I think the Fair Board and the Parks Board meet at the same time, but I worked that out.
There's several that you guys actually on the calendar.
Is there anything that on this jumps out that's not quite right? This section for me I need to tailor. There is no Jefferson Behavioral Health anymore.
Where is that?
It's under full board, yeah.
That's right, there isn't.
I was thinking Cherryl, with your economic development arm of things. Are you on this already? You're going to be on the Sorority Board? Because there's a meeting coming up for that. Yeah, you're
already. Yeah, I have this already.
Perfect.
So when is that meeting?
It's
down here.
It's on. Yeah, we'll review it here. I already have a note on mine to.
Are we even a member of Sorority at the same time?
Not technically. We haven't paid our dues for 2012-13. So that's on the. I know it sometimes...
Is that on the agenda, or going to be on the agenda?
It'll be on the admin agenda, which we're having to move to Friday, because I'm out Wednesday and Thursday. The sorority meeting is sometimes this month.
It is. It's on a Wednesday, and I believe it's up here.
It is on a Wednesday. Why are they... But my point was the Job Council and Road Workforce Development are actually they meet at the same time, and you can go, or you can Skype in from here.
Okay.
And the lady
say the Job Council and the Road Workforce.
Right.
Meet at the same time.
They're congruent, so that's basically the same meeting. I wonder if that would be something you'd be interested in. It's not that hard.
Pardon?
It's not that hard.
No, it's not that hard. No. So.
Any other?
You have the forestry and mining.
I do.
You put those two in there.
I did. Those go kind of hand in hand with the forestry department, as Vic is the manager in charge of that. But if you have a particular interest in one or both, or at the same time, you can definitely attend.
Yeah.
Either way.
So one of the things I was thought about this, was the planning department has a lot to do with the economic development.
Yep.
And I was wondering if that had more of a connection with economic development than it did with fairgrounds, parks, and facilities.
I don't disagree. It's just a little challenging in the first part. The pilot project is another one. I don't know how much. I'm not sure about this Merlin North Valley Sanitary District. How did we get there?
It's actually a committee that we have.
I know, but that's been something I've been letting Dawn kind of do it for the last little bit because nothing's happening. It's just kind of sat there, but that's
one that needs to work with planning.
That's a huge priority for me is that one. And I don't know, I'd like to talk about that one. Maybe we shouldn't, that one's not necessarily set in stone for me. That I don't know how it got over there. Is that something we discussed? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if I was ready to let that one go, but it certainly goes with economic development.
If you want it to go back,
no, I think you're right about drawing those lines between Merlin and it certainly goes together with the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, I think planning would be good. That's a big deal, though. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I have public health.
Just take everything off about public health.
But also forestry and mining would seem to be more in development and planning, and forestry and mining would seem to fit more under.
That goes with the natural resources, in my mind. It's the ONC board, the Natural Resources Committee that I hope we do, the Oregon Forest Trust Lands, U.S. Forest Service, BLM, all of those things kind of in the natural resources category to me. But, they certainly have a component of economic development, but I think it's more in the natural resources side where that legislation that's critical. Well, we're working on that.
Just make sure I know the decisions.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that
line right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and two things I see on here too. The UGB is under yours and mine both.
UGB right now is a full board, isn't it?
It is. There's a liaison, which there really isn't any responsibility there because I really feel strongly that. Well, they're past the committee point, so there isn't a liaison to be a committee too. So it's full board.
Okay.
There really isn't. In fact, we could probably take. The reason for scheduling, they're going to work with me anyway, so we can take that UGB liaison off. That committee's done.
Okay.
They've submitted their deal, and that's great. Full board. EMS
so what
for you, Cherryl?
Are we going to meet to talk about the planning and the Merlin North Valley Sewer District? Or
I think we should leave those in limbo for just a little while.
Where they are right now?
Leave them where they are right now.
Okay.
Because I don't know that a whole lot's happening, but I think that's a discussion all unto itself. How we.
Well, I know that's something that has been brought up at different times through So Ready.
They've
So Ready. So
organized that grant. Need to hear back on that. But yeah, absolutely. Anything else? Otherwise, we can just, tailor things as they come up. I really like the idea of splitting this Chamber Government Affairs. I don't know that makes any difference, that it's a little separate from the Chamber. The other thing is Chamber Government Affairs over here, and then you've got Chamber Board under yours.
Right.
It's sometimes nice to hear from a different commissioner. I don't know if that's one of those that makes sense to do it that way, to have it split, but that's something probably you guys can kind of work out over time. That's the only one that I see that it could be a little bit. That in Bikeways and RV Act for me. There's an RV Act STIP meeting, appropriation of those projects and funding.
Which one is that?
Bikeways Committee.
Bikeways Committee.
It's part of a mode of RV Act as liaison.
So are you taking Bikeways Committee? Because it's on mine.
No, but I'm not. I'm just saying that we need to coordinate. Those are things where none of these things are in silos perfectly.
Yeah.
The airport and stuff. That's.
I'm going to be happy to acquiesce.
You want RV Act, or do you want to kick me bikes? I think it's great that you go to bikes. That's a good one for you. You can bike there.
Tricycles, not bicycles.
So if there's nothing else there, maybe we'll discover those things as we go through this calendar for the 2 weeks. Does that sound good? Okay, great.
Fine. One motion?
Yeah.
I move that we adopt the list of committee assignments as we have just discussed. Deleting the UGB from Simon Harris because it's a full board.
And Jefferson Behavioral Health.
And Jefferson Behavioral Health, as it no longer exists. And that we approve this list of liaisons for the coming year.
I would be happy to second that.
Great. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? So I think this meeting has probably been listed for these items. We need to get moving on this, otherwise we don't take action usually at general discussions, but these are they're not policy setting, and frankly they can be changed at any time without a formal motion or action of the board, just general approval. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 2-week schedule starting with Monday. You guys are all sworn in, official. Judge Baker did a great job. As I mentioned, I'm going to the City Council meeting this morning, and then we have a managers meeting where it happens once a month. It's just for managers, and usually on a rotating basis, a board member goes and attends for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. I think what we're going to do this time is take turns kind of going over there. I'm going to start out. I'm going to introduce Jessica Schwartz to the managers, do a recap of my meeting that I had in December with them, that I'd encourage either of you to take advantage of an opportunity to call a meeting with the managers if you feel the need. This is just kind of to lay out some things, and I think I went over what my general thoughts were.
Which one? Right here. Oh, right here. Okay. That's this afternoon.
Yep,
right?
Right here. So I would.
Is it always on Monday?
I
Once
think
a month?
so.
Okay.
I think so. There's another.
First Monday of the month.
First Monday of the month.
always? Okay.
And then we usually rotate, and today they'd invited each of you to come in with you.
Yeah. If you're available, that would be great. We'll just have Terry kind of coordinate that. Sometime between 1:30 and 2:30.
Since we were invited, I will go.
I think it'd be good. You don't have to stay long. They've got their own business to talk about afterward, but it's a good deal. Tomorrow is kind of a busy day. Commissioner Walker, you'll be over at RV Cog, where that is. I've been there probably before. We can get you a map. It's pretty easy to find. It's right in Central Point.
Oh,
you basically take a left.
Okay, it's right there off of
the main drag.
Yeah, it's right just south of, just not south, just west of Pine Street.
I think you're right. I've only been there a couple of times. Commissioner Heck, you have your bikeways, UCAM, board meeting. General discussion, I think we should cancel, as 2 of us. I'm going to be off for today.
Okay, let's cancel this one.
Yeah. And then we're going to move the weekly business session to 5:30. I put in there a tentative hold for a general discussion if needed at 4 o'clock. There's nothing saying we can't just cancel it whenever, but if you guys felt that we needed one, because there really isn't an opportunity, I feel, for until Friday to have some of these things discussed. If you learn something between now and then that you want to talk about on Tuesday, I'd love to have that open.
So we'll post it.
If there's no objection, I think it's a good idea.
On the general discussion?
Just for an hour. Yeah.
Just cancel this.
Put it in for right there.
Here.
I came in yesterday and did a review of the month just to have a good idea of what worked. Otherwise, our next opportunity to talk is on Friday, at our admin meeting. So.
Okay, and we do have our business session at 5:30.
Yeah, you're going to miss the airport meeting.
Yeah, I'll miss the airport meeting.
Wednesday night, I'll be in Salem. I'm going to drive up that morning, and we'll cancel that weekly business session, or we'll move it. Cherryl, you're going to go to the EMS. That's your deal.
3.
Yeah.
And it's up at the public health building?
It is. There's a conference room right in the middle.
2?
It's at 3.
Because Harold and I have the 2, and yours is a 3.
You know, I do have it at 2. We'll get that cleared up.
Well, there's an EMS board meeting, and there's an emergency management update session. There's 2 different things.
Oh. Very good. She
good.
can read.
Okay.
So the EMS, the emergency management deal is out at the search and rescue building. I don't think there's a commissioner that necessarily
Keith,
needs
right?
to attend. No, that's me. That's me. I'm.
Okay, it says EMB board, Walker.
That's the EMS board, the emergency medical services.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. See, underneath Simon Hare it says EMB board, Walker, and then under mine it says EMS board meeting. So
Yeah, I think
we were going to...
I have EMB board Walker. That's kicking it.
I think it was because you were going to be gone, and you were going to ask Cherryl if she could
She wanted.
But she said the EMS board meeting.
Yeah, well, so does Dave Matthews. You know, he's going to have to jump from search and rescue to public health. So it's up to you. If you wanted to attend the EMB...
Okay, where is it held?
That one's at the search and rescue building out on Tech Way. Have you guys been out there? We need to get it. Okay, good.
And I see that on Keith's schedule. If they're both going to go, I need to forward it.
Yeah. You guys are welcome to attend that one. It's just normally probably something I would have
But
to
I need to
go to.
And what is, I mean, the EMS board, I mean, that's
just the medical aspect, so you'll have, you might have a contingent of search and rescue, but mostly it's AMR. Mostly just that. The emergency management board is a group of people, the whole gamut. You've got fire, you've got city police, county, anything you can think of there. CERT, Citizen Court Council, bunch of stuff. Everybody's there. Search and rescue. So,
but
the EMS board being medical.
They regulate the ambulance service areas and
right. So, what I was wondering is, should that be changed to Keith?
Well, I'm just saying, if I'm looking at this, I'm seeing a conflict somewhere because we're not public health building.
Well, that happens. You're not going to stay for the whole EM.
Once every 3 months. So it's a quarterly meeting.
The emergency management board is a couple times a year.
We don't set that one.
No, we don't.
Is this a one or the other? I mean, Cherryl or I go to one or the other?
It could be, but you can also just go to this one first a little bit, and then Cherryl goes to the EMS one, or whoever you... I think it goes really well with public health. Diane Hoover is the person who's the county liaison to that. Public Works might show up at the emergency management board. You don't... I mean, everybody's on hand for that one. This one is the one I'm doing, the emergency management board. But the other one, I mean, whoever's chair is doing the emergency management board, but certainly the EMS thing can be just a public health.
All right. I just do the EMS, which is the medical part.
And then if you wanted to go to the EM board, that way you're both able to go to both, but there's a certain medical aspect to the EM board, so it's up to you guys to work out. But
so
we do need to do it.
You're going to go to the EMS board, and I'll go to the emergency management meeting.
We can do that. You can do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. No need to know.
So then I won't be going out to search and rescue.
No.
Right.
All right. All right.
So on Thursday,
on Wednesday we need to cancel this business session on Wednesday. We just did that.
it's been done.
And done.
Cherryl, you've got a busy day.
Pardon?
You've got a busy day on Thursday, but there's this Infrastructure Finance Authority that has to do with the Merlin North Valley Sanitary District. Rob Brandis and Dave Weckner are attending that. I think I've registered, but that might be something. I shouldn't be missing that, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I have a meeting with Don Skundrick. He sits on that. So that's what's really important. I think we've got it covered with Dave and Rob, but if you felt like you needed to move your schedule around to do that,
so
it's at RV-COG over in Medford. It's on my calendar. I don't know.
Where is it? Medford?
This one. It's at RV-COG.
Or it's at the RV-COG in Central Point also?
And we're going to need to move the executive session, the staff meeting, and the general discussion.
A staff meeting we can't do because right now we're doing the schedule, but we won't have the WBS agenda until after the admin on Friday.
Right.
So
none of that needs to happen now.
Okay, so we're canceling
all of those. So really the only thing you'd need to move is the Jim Fong thing and if you wanted to attend the infrastructure deal, and you could meet with him after that over there or something like that, because he's in
I was
Medford.
going to say job council, is that where he's from?
Yeah, he manages both, the one here and the one in Medford. But if you wanted to go see their new offices, already is over there, you could do a twofer after this one, if you wanted to.
Are they located close by?
No, one's in Central Point, one's downtown Medford, right off of Main Street.
Okay, so
I mean, they're
I can attend this
margin
one.
of error with traveling a half an hour, they're in the same.
Yeah, I can attend this RV COG meeting.
Great.
That you will be out of town.
Right.
And then could you reschedule Jim Fong over there after that meeting? And I think it looks like it ends at 3:30.
So we'll put it on down.
And you can look at the agenda. You might not even need to stay that long. The half.
Yeah, I don't. Do we have the agenda for that meeting?
We do.
Okay.
I think it's embedded.
We do?
I think it's embedded in that calendar appointment.
Speaking
We
of
will make sure we do.
yeah.
Okay, whatever. Move Jim Fong to after that meeting.
Yes.
And
You got a ways. Good morning. Good morning.
And I'll need the address of the Jobs Council. I don't have that. Okay.
And then you've got lipstick in the afternoon. That's great. I think that's over at the Marie. They're not meeting. Cancel.
Oh, they're not meeting?
So your whole afternoon's up.
Yep, I just tried to confirm that one this morning. I'm trying to confirm these as we go.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't want to go visit.
Okay, so Friday the
And
11th.
the executive session's canceled. Right?
And the staff and the general discussion.
And the staff meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
The ladies make these adjustments. We're just going over calendar. There's liaison as we have it. The underlined ones we're still working out. Friday the 11th, January. I'm on this panel. I guess I'm speaking on forestry stuff. Southern Oregon Mini Business Plan Summit. I think that's what that one is. And then
We had Keith down for it too, so I hadn't posted it for the full board in case Cherryl also wanted to.
great. I think it's a good idea.
Yes.
There's going to be a number of different topics gone over. We'll do the administrative workshop, and in that we'll include staff and general discussion.
What about your exec stuff?
Do we have anything?
I don't know.
Put it in there afterwards. Put it in there at starting at 2 if we need one. That way we can start it late, but we can't start it early if we don't have it in there. All right. Week 1, ladies and gentlemen. Week 1.
Okay, now travel over to Medford for that on Friday. Are we going to drive together? So we're going to the same place and back?
I have...
Oh, you have another appointment.
Under
Okay, so that won't work.
But you guys could
But we
certainly
can
go
drive
together.
Am I going down there?
On Friday.
You're listed to, but you don't have to. To the red line for the Southern Oregon. Okay, good.
Are you planning to do that one?
Yeah.
And are you coming back right after that? Is your intent to come back?
Yes.
Well, shoot fire. We can certainly do that.
Okay. We can do that.
Meeting with Sean. Yeah, those are...
I'll let you drive.
You guys going to take a county car? Because we should probably... The one out there, they probably charge the battery or something. I don't know. That one they don't use very often, so...
Yeah, we do have one out there.
I'll let you guys work that out.
The board's office, you guys can just take it.
Well, then you'll show us the proper procedure to make the thing run.
We'll get her to...
How to turn the lights on.
Unlock the door.
So I have asked the ladies to schedule, we're on Monday the 14th, half-an-hour meetings with each of the department liaisons that you guys probably haven't started that. The part of the meeting that I had with the managers in December was to provide an outline, one-pager, of what it is that they do, like their mission statement for their office and a set of goals for 2013 and long-term, and to review those. You guys have all had an opportunity, I think, to meet with most of these departments already, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to, now that you're in office, to get a little bit more of an in-depth opportunity to talk with the specific liaisons and, dig a little deeper. answer some questions, ask some questions. So over the next weeks, have maybe the ladies schedule those in there for you. You can either go out there if you haven't been, if there's parts of the office you haven't seen. I got a tour with Jessica with emergency management of public works and places I hadn't actually even seen. And I asked questions about, fuel storage capacity, that they have a large generator out there. I asked a lot more in-depth questions. It was nice to get around and kind of kick the tires. You guys can make that decision yourself. I have everybody coming in here because I've kind of gone out and done that. But
you're coming in on Monday?
I have coming in on Monday, so yours at any time. Name the date and so forth.
Because I'm out on Tuesday.
Well, I was just thinking if I was going to meet with them and they're meeting with you on Monday.
Well, these are mine. These are my liaisons.
Right, they're meeting with you on Monday, but they're here, so rather than make them make another trip, should I schedule?
You're meeting with all of them again?
No, I'm meeting with my liaison responsibilities, so you'd meet with yours.
Okay,
they shouldn't be the same list.
All right, I thought you were saying all of the...
You're welcome.
All of them.
You're welcome to do... No.
Okay.
That's why we...
This is going to be quite a chore.
That's why we divide them up.
Okay, gotcha.
But if there's anyone on there that, I've been meaning to talk to Rob Brandis about whatever, you can, put him in there for 15 minutes after where he is. If that makes sense. Because you're right, it would save him a trip. I'm all about twofers like that.
Other than that, as far as I'm concerned, the community corrections and juvenile justice and sheriff, I would like to go over and visit them their place.
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to schedule that?
Yeah, whatever.
30 minutes or an hour?
I'd do 60 preferably.
Raises a good thing. We need to do an inspection in the first month.
The jail?
Just put it in the queue. Great.
And when David Weckner is here, he's on planning.
Yeah.
Depending on what we do with planning.
Right.
I'd like to have a few minutes with David Weckner while he's here.
Great.
We'll make it happen.
Okay, and then schedule the others as they're available.
Yeah.
Be there or here?
There. I want to see their
Spots.
You want 30 minutes, 60 minutes?
Half an hour should be enough. If they know I'm coming, they can be prepared and give me whatever they need to in writing, and then we can go over it.
All right.
Give me a little tour. So 30 minutes would be plenty, I think.
Okay.
Do you guys feel a need for a general discussion on Tuesday? Or do you want to move it to Monday when we're all here? Well, that's not going to happen.
The general discussion... You're not here.
We could... Mining Advisory Committee is going to be short. So we could do it at 11, right before we go to the elected officials' lunch.
On
Monday.
On Monday?
Why don't we stick it in there?
Okay, so what do we want there?
General
discussion?
Sound good?
Got it in there.
Yeah.
And take it after 15?
Yeah, that'll just at least give us 45 or 50 minutes to chat. Wednesday. You didn't want to do it? We don't have to.
No.
I'm pretty amiable. So this is hopefully my last governor's meeting, and so I won't be there. If I am, I'll just be on the call depending on what we have on the agenda, but Vice Cherryl run that one on Wednesday the 16th.
Tuesday the 15th?
Wednesday the 16th?
Oh, 16th.
Tuesdays. Tuesday's good, right? Not a whole lot happening. I don't know that we need to notice Rotaries. I guess we shouldn't. We need a...
Do you want them noticed?
No, we don't.
You usually kind of social, so...
Yeah. We need to start doing a really good job of that, differentiating. Okay, Thursday. There's no hesitancy about having a weekly business session without me there, right? You guys can do it? Great. I'll be back Wednesday night, so Thursday, the admin meeting. I've got to go over to another Oregon Solutions Summit. I'm not really sure I'm speaking at either one of those. Probably both. Mental health on Keith.
Is there Linda, can I ask you to confirm with, because it says it's supposed to be confirmed with this mental health committee or board. Can I just ask to find out where it's at?
That's what we did. When we confirm, we find out where it's at, because they've been moving.
I didn't know if I wrote that in there or was that was you.
No, we did that because when they were changing over from options out on G and whatever that road is out there to Harbeck, I think it's Harbeck, I'd go out to one and it'd be at the other. You know, they switched it up so much.
Well, that was a personal thing.
I think they didn't want me there. So, no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I should be back by the general discussion, but you guys can handle the executive session and the staff meeting on Thursday the 17th, unless there's something that comes up, but otherwise it's a ways off.
So you won't be there?
I don't think so. 18th, first law enforcement district hearing. That's it. Before I go any further, did you have anything? To go to the order, or you've got lots too much? Maybe I shouldn't have asked.
I just got a few things.
Okay.
Just basically, you should all have copies of budgets in your offices. If you don't, we'll get you new ones. They are on the web too. And we have the new cappers that I'll be handing out. We will be scheduling the auditors, if you want, to come down and give a presentation, probably toward the end of this month, first part of February. And then, of course, we're going to be starting the budget process. So
you said you're going to provide us a copy of the budget?
Yes, if it's not in your office.
I've got one for you.
Oh, you have one for me? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes they get passed along, sometimes they don't. And then if you have any questions, I'm always available. Linda's got my schedule, so she can always hook me in, or if you just yell at me, I'll come see you.
Do we have to convene the budget committee that we have currently for the mid-year review?
No.
And the mid-year adjustment?
No, we typically invite them,
Okay.
but we don't reconvene the budget committee.
When are we doing that?
We have, I'll be putting the schedule together. We've got 2 openings that we're advertising
No, I mean
for.
the mid-year.
Oh, the mid-year?
Yeah, I'm not
Usually
really.
I do it the same time as the auditor's presentation. So it's kind of a finance.
That's when we make those adjustments and approve?
That's a supplemental budget. And
Supplemental.
That's another one we're working on right
Okay.
now. We're planning on doing them all at the same time toward the end of this month.
Okay, great. Provide plenty of time.
Yeah.
That'll take a while because there's a lot of budgets that have made significant adjustments.
Yeah. And
That's
it
the
requires
one.
publication because we have
Right.
the major monies coming in for public safety, and we did major
Does
changes.
that require the budget committee to convene?
No.
Okay. That's what I thought. Even if it's an adjustment over 10%?
No.
Okay.
It just requires publication.
Great. All right.
Public hearing.
Before the end of January?
Yeah, that's our plan.
Great.
And we do have the 6 budget committee applicants. If you have any each copy, if you can rate those applicants and return them to me,
By Friday?
that'd be great.
Cool.
We have 2 openings, and then we can do some interviews if you so choose, or however you guys want to play.
If there isn't, if we don't have a general consensus that this is enough, we can also go out. What's our timeline?
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
They just have to be appointed before we convene
Convene.
the first budget committee,
Which is in March.
usually in March.
Great.
We try to have a workshop in February.
My thought is, I haven't even really looked at the list. So without having looked at the list, this is just the first round. If we want to go out for more names, it's pretty important that we get the right couple of people to serve on this. So I'd rather not rush to a decision. We feel we've got great applicants, we're good to go. Otherwise, we can go out for another round. So, great.
And was there a cutoff time on this to apply?
The budget committee?
Yeah.
The cutoff was pretty.
Yeah, December 28th.
We had it December 28th, and we went ahead because it was a few that came in right at the beginning. We were closed holidays, so we went ahead and just took them through Friday.
So then, what is the rationale of you missed it, and now we're going to extend it by asking somebody else?
We hold it open. We'll take any application they put to us, but we'll hold them up front unless you guys call for them.
You have
Call
any?
for more applications.
You don't have any.
So were these all done online, or did they
Someone came in and sent him in online.
Online? Okay.
We can include that in general discussion after we make our ratings. If people feel,
Right.
we'll just include that in
I'll give
the
you
topic.
some idea of
Yep,
what
we'll address it when we get there.
next Tuesday, Monday.
Anything else?
No.
Great.
When do we, by January 11th, okay.
This Friday. End of day. So typically, if this was to just go through with the list that we have right now, the ladies take our recommendations, compile a list, and either take our suggestion of the top 4 if we want to do interviews, or just the top 2, and then they're appointed at the following.
Depends if you guys know the players or not. Also, rural will be up in your, rural planning will be up in your basket.
We have 2 positions open on Rural
We also
Planning
have 2
Commission.
on it, and it'll have the scale sheet on the front also, and some applications for you to review. And just let me know whether you want to do interviews or...
Great. So I have a list of things that I'd like to talk about, but I don't want to dominate the meeting. We do have it scheduled for quite a while because I've anticipated a bunch of different things. Do you guys have a list of stuff that I want to go over? Do you? Okay, great.
We've been here an hour and a half.
I'm sorry, I've been thinking about this since November, guys. I'd like to put together on it before the end of the month, maybe a goal-setting session. We've kind of done that, but just for me, I have some long-term goals that I want to see accomplished by the end of my term, or at least addressed, and I'll go over that short list now to get you kind of thinking. If that sounds like a good idea for you, for the Forestry Department, a survey of forest lands, and this might come out of your goals review with the different liaison assignments. Planning an expedited process for business permit processing, just an outline version of that. A grant contractor for program resources, sustainable business model for the fairgrounds, a long-term plan and decision about the facilities, the resources, how they're going to be used, and if there's going to be any changes to that. Minimum fire service standards for the different fire service districts that we have. The North Valley Sanitary District up and running and totally there. And then, of course, sustainable funding for criminal justice. And a charter revision, and maybe putting together a task force to take a look at that. Usually it takes about a year to do that, so you start it now. I don't know how eager I am with the city not being able to accomplish theirs. I thought that theirs suggestions were pretty good, but those are things I'd like to have in the back of our minds and talked about. And then putting together like a mission statement for this board and those long-term goals that we all agree on that we're working on and trying to make progress towards, that we have that listed somewhere. And then some of the short-term things, like maybe in a binder with each department that I've kind of shown you guys about, what are we working on in each thing, so that we can prioritize. One of the things that I mentioned to the managers in my meeting last month is that I think for years that we've been asking the managers, county, to do more with less. I think we need to prioritize what it is that we're doing, what is the role of county government, and then doing those things really well. And kind of that gives us a prioritization list so that we're not trying to do everything. We're just trying to do what we're supposed to, our core competency, but doing it really, really well. And I think that helps refine our, going through the budget process. It's kind of the same, it's in line with how we are supposed to budget. So.
The list that you just read off, could you give us that list? Because some of those are what would be online. There's no need to
reinvent it.
To restate them. Yeah.
Those are just, absolutely, I could do that.
I would request too, we adopted 4 or 5 goals in 2010 that we applied to the budget, because we do budgeting by outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And then each of the departments uses those goals to relate to their individual budgets. So if you could review those and see if those are still standing.
That'd be great.
Or if you want to change those at this goal setting, that would be really helpful.
Do we have a copy of those here, or do you need to get them to us?
No, you should have a copy. If you don't, I'll get them to you.
Okay.
I have to think on that one. Sorry. We'll get you one.
They're on my wall.
And on the WBS, the acronym world, Is the agenda something
As
that...
long as it means the same thing to you as it does to me, Keith, I am good.
Does the agenda, is that something that should be reviewed, or can be reviewed, or...
Always.
Yeah, that kind of
It's done at our staff meeting before the next weekly business session, so we'll do it on Friday.
Yeah.
And it's part of our admin schedule. We won't have specific
If we don't
meetings.
have staff meeting this week.
Yeah.
We'll have the
We'll do it.
WBS on the admin schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's typically how we do it. And we try to do that as soon, usually it falls on a Thursday afternoon. That's just the typical schedule, executive session, staff meeting, general discussion. And at that point, the ladies hold on to it until Friday at around noon, anywhere between noon and 2, to send it out. We've experienced changes between Thursday staff meeting and Friday, and I hate sending it out multiple times. The more emails you send, the less people look at them, and so it's...
Yeah, about the fourth time I get it.
Yeah, they're like, who cares? So that's generally the schedule. It seems to work pretty well. We approve it as a board. Any member can put something on the agenda if they have general consensus that that's a good idea. So I don't know that we don't really have a policy. It just kind of forms somewhat organically. I think we have a proclamation.
We have a proclamation, Sanctity for Life one, that will be reviewed at admin on Friday.
For the following week.
Because we're going to launch it on the 16th.
Great.
You need a
calendar.
You have it. I've seen it.
Turn page.
Yeah, it might be behind there.
It is.
The other thing is you can't keep an agenda item off if there are 2 commissioners that want it on. You know, if there's general consensus from 2, it's going to go on. It doesn't need all 3 of us to do that. And then the ladies poll for things like that. We don't have to meet in a specific meeting to get it done. That would just be incredibly cumbersome to...
Yeah, I'm talking more the format of it, not necessarily the content of it.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's usually developed in your admin.
Right, and you're welcome. Welcome to change it. This format kind of been refined over the time that I've been here. So I don't even know if we had other when we first started. It certainly wasn't delineated by the ORS. Citizens were getting concerned that we were taking action that wasn't specifically outlined on an agenda. We didn't need other to do that, but we put it on there so that people know that we can. We try never to do that, and I think we've done it like
Twice maybe.
2 or 3 times, very rarely, and it's usually a timing issue that we didn't know it needed to get done, and it has to be done by that day or the next day or something.
Well, we have to A and their 1-day deadlines. And
yeah, right. So
if we don't have it back, you can't have the money.
right. So we make that stuff happen. Is that good?
Oh, yeah.
Moving this, before I forget, because I don't want to come out of this without the Special Transportation Advisory Committee. We're just going to look at those. If there's any objections.
Yeah, these are in your packet.
Because we're approving
so
this.
You'll be able to look at them today.
Tomorrow
and
evening.
On for approval tomorrow night. If you don't approve them, you don't approve them.
We can just pull it from the calendar if we need to. Going to go up to the, kind of goes with the liaison responsibilities, the pilot project planning. I have a CIS, CG, whatever, GIS. What does that stand for? Stands for mapping.
Government Information Service, right?
No, it has to do with mapping. Anyway, we've got a guy in part-time in that. There's a lot of need for this. I had no idea when I first started putting this together. Public Works uses it, planning uses it, building and safety. There's a whole bunch of emergency preparedness uses it. So we need a long-term planning strategy about that. I've already set up a meeting with the CFO and the planning director this week. We have a pilot project. It's Executive Order 1207, and we've got to get somebody in the queue from a GIS standpoint to help our county with that mapping part. So we're going to work through a proposal, bring that back to the board, but it needs to be done in the next couple of weeks because the money's in the queue for us to get started, and the deadline is fastly approaching for us to be at a certain level of this to go into the next legislative cycle at the Salem area, at the state level, if we want more money to implement this. This is just for planning, so we're kind of behind the ball on that, but we need to get it up and running because Other counties have a much more robust GIS system. Plus, we have a long-term goal. It might be partnering with the city. They're developing or acquiring a system that, well, the assessor's office uses GIS too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out. Probably one of the biggest users of having a computer program that's a little bit more friendly. Ours is kind of like a made-to-order for us specifically. Theirs is a system, just the back of the envelope version, that can be very user-friendly, that we don't have to have a special GIS person necessarily to coordinate everything, to maintain the system at the county level. The contract with this program would do it, and that we would be paying for specific licenses. So Public Works would pay for one, planning, assessor's office, and then they would have in-house people to kind of work with the data as need be, but they wouldn't be maintaining the infrastructure. That would be included in the contract. So it might be more cost effective, but at the end of the day, better for each of the departments that use it. So we can get a...
I mean, is this something of which the assessors or Public Works would be involved in?
Oh yeah.
Determining who's doing what? I mean,
right.
Because I have no idea what the system is now. I mean,
we're going to leave most of the suggestion up to the end users, but we would ultimately make the decision to go in that as a long-term route. It would be a difference from what we're doing now. We'd be able to roll the system that we have now kind of into the new system, but long-term, that's the long-term half. The short-term half is getting the appropriate GIS staffing to meet the demands that we currently have with our current system and to facilitate the pilot project. So we'll be bringing a recommendation after that meeting back to the board for approval if there's a need for a change, which I'm kind of anticipating there need to be structurally.
Is this the one that the governor signed in regards to the pilot program for reclassifying some of the lands?
Yeah, looking at marginal farm and forest land. So,
well, if someone has specific information about an area, can that be turned over to someone to look at?
It'd probably be, included in the GIS mapping, or at least be told quickly, you don't qualify. That's not what we're looking at. I think that's another thing, is that there's going to be a need for a press release, a public hearing on this in January, and Dave's working on putting that together so that people, the board especially, understands what it is that we're trying to accomplish here. I think there's been a lot of some misinformation out there. The other thing is that he's compiling right now Citizens Advisory. Well, it's not a Citizens Advisory, it's a stack. What is that called? Expert. People that are, I don't know what that acronym stands for, but it's
Systems Technology Advanced Committee.
TAC. Technical Advisory Committee. It's just a TAC.
Are we making guesses on the acronym?
Right, no, I'm not making that one up.
I have a second one on the GIS, the Geologic Information Survey.
There you go. That goes right along with Dogami. Good luck with that one.
We do have a whole list of acronyms in the back of the budget, so you can kind of wade your way through.
Dave, specifically with the pilot project, is setting up a technical advisory committee made up of a whole list of people. Every county is doing this to advise this process, so that would be included in our first hearing.
Okay.
That's yours, right?
What's it?
No.
I think it's the real payphone.
A real phone? Who has one of those?
On the hallway?
Yeah. It occasionally rings.
Okay. I've never heard it, I don't think. Meetings with the city. I also have special meetings with other groups. So I think we have on the calendar in the first month, we have the BLM, the Forest Service. We're going to get the Chamber of Commerce in here to meet you guys, a number of other things. So if there's anybody out there, I mean, Army Corps of Engineers, we've never met with them, but if that's an interest of yours, we need to get them in the queue to come in. They usually do it at a general discussion and spend a half an hour, 45 minutes going over what they do. And so those are in the getting in the queue. But the city meets, we usually met monthly. We need to work this out, and that's going to be one of the things I discussed with the City Council this afternoon, is how do they want to structure those? And for me, I think their workshops on Monday probably make the most amount of sense. We just need to structure it a little different than it did before. Last time, we were kind of regarded structurally just like citizens. And that's not the way I want to meet with the city council. I would like to meet with the entire city council, not just the manager and the president. That's typically how we used to do it. And the full board would go over to the city, or the city would come over here. But I think we need to meet with the council and just let out an agenda beforehand, have a certain number of issues. But maybe once a month at their workshop, we have a very dedicated half hour or whatever to talk about these issues. I think that'd be good. But we need to mull it over, think about how you guys want that structured, and then formally invite them, whatever we want to do. So that's pretty important.
Well, and there ought to be some meeting if we're doing it with the Grants Pass. We ought to have something with Katie Johnson.
We do.
Do we?
Quarterly we go out there,
okay.
And we have an hour set aside for a joint meeting, no public comment between the city council and the board. And we don't have a whole lot of issues to talk about most of the time. So it's usually kind of an update for them on where the county is, and then they go in at 7 o'clock to their city council meeting. So.
And you guys meet with citizens. Right?
And then we meet with citizens after that. So we do it.
And is that always like on the first Monday of the third month or something?
The fourth Monday of the third month. It's on your calendar.
It's on there.
Quarterly, yeah, I'll do it. And it's January, April. I'm lost.
Don't worry about it, because I think I met in December and I was the only guy out there, so it wouldn't be January, right? I don't think we have one in January, but that's all right. We might. Not a big deal. It's on there. What I'm meeting with the City Council on is the MPO governance structure. The previous board and I don't know if we all saw eye to eye on this, but the Metropolitan Planning Organization is a new designation for the City of Grants Pass, Josephine County, Jackson County, City of Gold Hill, and Rogue River. Cumulatively, Jackson County makes up 9% of the designated MPO right now. So Josephine County and Grants Pass, I think, I'm going to say, let's err on the side of caution. Maybe they make up 14%. We make up 86%. Josephine County is 22%, which leaves 64% for Grants Pass. There's a structure that needs to be established. That's the last thing we need to do. It has to be done by March 17th. It has to be actually done sooner than that, because it has to go to the state and ratification by the governor. He has to sign off on this. There's a Rogue Valley MPO, RVAC, Rogue Valley Area Commission on Transportation. We would have a seat, an additional seat from this MPO on that. The thing about it is that the structure is pretty important. It probably, we don't even know how much money it would be in charge of. It's more than it is right now. It's CMAQ funds. I don't know what that stands for, but it has to do with clean mitigation of air quality. Grants Pass is getting funding for that. Now that funding can only be spent within Grants Pass. It can't be spent anywhere else. But there are millions of dollars, and the federal dollars that go through the MPO. I learned that some of that money, some of those projects, still have to go through RVF. That's where the dynamic about the structure of this, the governance, really comes into play. Technically, with 75% of the population represented, we can establish whatever kind of governance structure we want. Does that do us any favors with lobbying Gold Hill and Rogue River, who were both swing votes in this reallocation alternative A money to Exit 61 and Allen Creek, $950,000 Allen Creek, $2.6 million to Exit 61. We won it by one vote. Shouldn't have even been that close, but without Rogue River or Gold Hill, we'd have lost, and that wouldn't have been good for us. So my goal is to get the most amount of autonomy with Josephine County, but not make Gold Hill and Rogue River and Jackson County mad. That's what I'm having coffee with Don Skundrick about. He couldn't be more PO'd about the position that the city council took. They took a hardline approach to, it's our way or the highway. We want proportional representation.
When you say city council, Grants Pass.
City council, Grants Pass. They took a hardline approach to say we want proportional representation. Josephine County gets 2, Grants Pass gets 3, and everybody else just gets 1. And so we would have had 5 out of the 8. So we could get pretty much, and removing the provision in the bylaws for supermajority or whatever. I'm going to say that I'm going to advocate, and I think the city council is going to have to be there if we're of like mind. Politics doesn't just end, where the funding stream is. You've got to play ball with these people. We've made a lot of progress with RV Act. I feel really good about our working relationship with them now, but I don't want to lose ground over there over something very simple as this. 99% of the projects are going to be in Josephine County, and frankly, they're going to be in Grants Pass. So we're really not arguing over a whole lot. It's just the way we choose to structure this. So if we're kind of in agreement that the proportional representation, hard and fast line, doesn't do us a whole lot of political favors or even fiscal funding favors, I think it'd be a good idea to. My position is that we need to not have strictly proportional representation. The way I think that it was originally signed off on by the people who were at the meeting, Aaron Kubik, the city manager, and myself, was that we would go with a one entity, one vote for 2 years, with the understanding that at the end of that 2 years, if for any reason we didn't agree that it was working well for us, that it would revert to total proportional representation and without transit. Right now, Josephine County gets 2 votes in the proposal that we signed off on a month ago that I'm going to advocate for. We get the 1 vote for proportion population, and then we get 1 vote for transit. Transit technically isn't a district yet. We're the governing body for the transit, probably would be for the district. So Josephine County would get 2. I think Grants Pass gets 2. I don't really know. Gold Hill, Jackson County, and Rogue River, they all get 1. And then ODOT gets a seat at the table. So I guess they also can't be a deciding vote. ODOT can't be the swing. If it comes down 3-3 or 4-4, ODOT can't make that decision. We have to go back. What the MPO, what RV Act is supposed to do is try to build consensus in a region about the best projects that need funding. And so it kind of cuts against the whole point if it's just total proportional. I still think we have the majority, but we still need to build consensus around these projects regardless, in my mind. So that's the long and the short of it. So are there any questions about the MPO?
What was it about?
Any questions about? Yeah. I have information if you want to take a look at it, but
I'd like to read it.
I'll get you a copy.
Yeah, I'd like to read it too.
It's not really long, so yeah, I can get that to you. I think the previous board kind of left me up to just, but I don't want to leave you guys out of the loop. You have a particular.
At least like to have it.
Yes, good. That's what I'm looking for. Somewhat of a grunt right now because I can't. We have a March deadline that includes a timeline of doing other things before March. If we miss that deadline, Grants Pass misses out on, I don't know, $2.something million transportation funding. So it's really important that we get this governance structure down. That doesn't mean it's set in stone. We can change it in the future, but at some point we have to fish or cut bait, commit to something to say we're going to give this a try. Michael Cavallero made the suggestion, why don't you guys just try the proportional, the 1 entity, 1 vote version of the governance structure for a little while. Maybe if it isn't 2 years, maybe it's just a year. We give it a shot for a year. I think that would provide Gold Hill, Rogue River, and Jackson County, an understanding that, hey, we can form this MPO with or without you. Grants Pass can't form it without Josephine County. We get them over that 75% threshold, but man, don't you know that that's going to make everybody, at least those 3 entities upset. When we go to RV Act, we're not going to do well. That's the bigger playing field. Any questions? Points? Clarifications? I want to establish a natural resources coordination committee. So we've been operating somewhat under coordination for the last several years we just passed an actual, somewhat of a plan that a Natural Resources Committee that we set up 2010 and 11 established. The next phase of that is setting up Technical Advisory Committee, Citizens Advisory Committee to kind of focus on this as an issue and be kind of a community sounding board. It needs to be made up of a variety of interests, not just industry or not just natural resource users. Conservation community needs to be there, Soil and Water Conservation District. It's a variety of different users of the community, but it just kind of gives us a framework for implementing coordination on a county level. Are you guys familiar with coordination, what it is? Loosely?
Yes.
Okay.
Versus cooperation.
Yes, it all comes down to actually the arm, what gives coordination its strength is that we have a plan for the utilization of the natural resources in Josephine County on federal lands, and that they are federal agencies. Fish and Wildlife, for example, is mandated when they start thinking about revising their plan on how they're going to use those federal lands within Josephine County, they have to meet with us. And then we have to work out inconsistencies between their plan and our plan. That's the long and the short of it. It doesn't say that they have to do what we tell them to. It says that they have to try to work out inconsistencies. It just gives us an opportunity to weigh in on their plans earlier to things they may not have thought about. And maybe ways they can accomplish their goals and our goals at the same time. That's basically my opinion.
And where are we at in that process right now? Is it still?
We've approved our plan. The last board just sent them, Fish and Wildlife and the congressional delegation, a letter that we weren't pleased with the Fish and Wildlife's process with going through expanding their critical habitat designation of the northern spotted owl. I think they dialed back from the 13.9 million acres that they originally suggested for Washington, Oregon, and California. I think they're somewhere around 6 and change, maybe 4.5 for Oregon. Now keep in mind that all of the ONC lands they're brown up there. Are 2.8 million, included the controverted lands. So it's almost double the size of just the ONC lands, is what they've designated as critical habitat. So I think we need to talk about what that means.
Has there been any response back yet? Or?
I don't think so. We just sent it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So Dane Barron is another one we want to talk to. Yeah, I'm sure we haven't heard back.
I was coming in.
No worries. No, we haven't heard.
No, we have not heard from you at all.
So that's just something we need to probably. I don't know where you guys stand on natural resource issues exactly. So we need to put that on an agenda for a general discussion. That's a goal of mine, though, to get done in January if it works for you guys. Another project I'm working. If there's anything.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Another project I'm working on is we need to vet the efficiencies that we currently have and possibly could appreciate by a better coordinated effort between the assessors, the tax, and the treasurer's offices. There are a lot of counties that are going to joint offices on that, consolidation of sorts, mostly through front counter types of issues. A lot of times constituent deals with something at the assessor's office and walks down the hall, talks to the tax collector or the treasurer's office about the same issue, having to bring them up to speed on what I just did down at the assessor's office, and I need to pay this bill or I need to make this adjustment. I know very, very little about that. I just know that I want to put those two and a half heads together and ask them to come up with a couple of proposals. Jackson County's done some of this, and some other counties have. But there's a real opportunity for cost savings, I think, or better service to our constituents. Now, the assessor's office is going through a 2-year-plus program changeover. It's taking a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of energy, but I think it's going to be better on the other end for constituents as far as their services, and maybe cutting down on some of the paper shuffling that we do down there, and more up-to-date changes of a fairly fairly old, antiquated system. But all of this kind of ties into what I hope for higher, better efficiencies. There's a very significant user of general funds down there, and whatever we can do to tighten our ship makes a lot of sense. So if you guys are kind of on board with looking at that, maybe at the end of the day, I talked to John Harrelson about this. He's like, we've done that. There's nothing to be accomplished there. And I said, John, that's fine, but every once in a while, we got to take a look at our ship, make sure that it's as efficient as possible. Things change, computer programs change, personnel, staff change. If we get out of that and we say, you know what, it's as efficient as we can possibly do, we've got 2 things that we can change, but no major overhaul, then so be it. But I think we need to take a look at it. It's one of those, I don't know about low-hanging fruit, but it's certainly an opportunity. Any objection?
I think he's trying to say something.
So I'm pondering over the potential to reorganize or restructure is something I think that always ought to be looked at. Sometimes and granted, that would not be the case here, but in other places, the difficulty comes is when you have those who are directly responsible for those departments or whatever, trying to look at how can they change it, because everything now becomes a personal issue.
Talking about a third party.
And talking about a third party coming in and to say, these are suggestions, or maybe, and to sort of lead the discussion and to help people appreciate how what can be accomplished in a greater sense if this were looked at this way or whatever. And then they have
That's a good point. Because how much can you really expect somebody to say, please cut off your left arm?
Right.
You know, when they think
for the greater good.
They think they're losing their left arm, when honestly, well, we're going to give you 10 fingers over there, so don't worry about it. But that's only a third party is coming up with 10 fingers per person. I feel like we kind of have third party. I don't want to disagree with you. Having it, you've got 2 different departments saying, well, tax and treasurer, I think you could do this better if we coordinated this way. Tax saying, well, assessor, I think this is an issue. There's where I see the third party coming in, because they both have a desire, both to reduce costs as much as possible. But if there is an opportunity, the other thing is I would say is I don't have a real definitive feeling in my gut that that's possible. If I did with a certain couple of departments, like maybe with forestry and parks, and they didn't feel that way, then I would bring in a third party and say, no, I know where we're going to go. I'm pretty sure, I'm 90% sure that that's where we're going to go. So this is what I want somebody to take a look at, getting us there.
Yeah, I don't think it's good to approach anything with a presupposition. I mean, if we're truly looking at something,
I try not to,
in a neutral way of saying, okay, look, I know that, take you the 2 parks and forestry, I know that the best plan is this. I've lost that. That's right, I've lost it. And I think that's the advantage of having a neutral, third party come and be involved and be able to sit down and look at things and have the input, and everybody can arrange things together to look at, oh, I never thought about this one. Or I have thought about this one and I never wanted to do it because of my personal. But you realize, okay, this is truly the better deal.
That's another element. The timing aspect is the fact that we have a new treasurer, tax collector, and we have a new computer program going in the assessor's office. A lot of changes down there. So,
what did you think of would be a third party? I mean, how would that be a contract out? Have someone come in to do a department audit?
Option of consultants in the past, mostly with the criminal justice system, because that was the one where there's more of a need for a third party.
We do, we have looked at doing performance reviews, is what they're called. And they're everything, they can be as detailed as counting how many times they wait on a customer to just looking at an overview. Many times you can utilize retired individuals that have been in that field, have that expertise to come in, but you have to have buy-in from everyone. Our main goal at the county, frankly, has been how many windows do we have open to the public that we can staff, and it's getting less and less. And that's a lot of where the consolidations like Parks and Forestry came from. They both were losing support staff and needed to consolidate so they could have enough coverage when they needed to be open to the public. But there are individuals out there, both through the League of Oregon Cities and I believe Association of Oregon Counties, that do this kind of work if that's the area you want to go to.
Something to think about how we want to proceed. But I think in January at some point I'm going to request the respective bodies to sit down and then maybe I come away from that saying, you know what, I think we need a third party to come in and take a look at this, or I think that they've got a good partnership that they've established, that they're going to be able to work together towards proposing 3 different scenarios for the board. You're not going to have this customer service, but we're going to have this cost savings, cost-benefit analysis type of deal. So
when you say we, what are you asking? You are going to ask them, the board wants them to do what?
Well, I think the board wants them to explore efficiency options. Be pretty broad, pretty vague. We'll see how we get there. And then I'll host a meeting sometime in January, I hope, and start the groundwork, because I kind of wanted to get into the queue so it's established as a program, and if changes need to be done, they need to be done right around June. That we've vetted this, we've kind of looked at the consolidation or the efficiencies, and that we're adopting that in the budget in 2013-14. Does that make sense? I think that's kind of my timeline for if you wanted to do something. If you discover that through your goal-setting sessions that wait, these people have the same goals, where there's an opportunity somebody raises, that we get it in the queue for the next budget cycle, so it's got a good opportunity to succeed.
Yeah, but we're talking about. I mean, I've got a difficulty with it. Fundamental changes are done poorly in a short time frame.
Right.
And the decision for the budget, that's got to be done in a very short time frame, I think.
We're going to start working on budgets
now.
Yeah,
and so if we're talking about fundamental change of departments and stuff for this budget, to me we're about at least 12, 15 months behind time.
The best time to plant a tree was yesterday. Second best time is today. So I'm going to start working on it now. With everything that we had to do in the last 2 years, we did some consolidations, some reductions. Like you said, we're never done looking at the opportunities for efficiency. And being completely open, my best case scenario is that we definitely close one of those offices to the public, always. That we have one office open, one front window counter, and everybody's needs are met there. The other version is, the other bookend, nothing changes. What we have right now is bare bones, as efficient as we possibly can get. So those are the parameters that I'm working in. And somewhere in the middle would be perfectly ideal for me. And that if we implement, X, Y, and Z by June, with a plan of having total implementation by January is another option. But it needs to be written into the budget that that's the way it's going to progress. So it doesn't mean that everything has to be done by the end of June. It just means that the plan's got to be thought about and in the queue, right?
Yeah.
Great. And that's just my template for how I would go about it. PEG broadcasting, we have a couple different things there. We need to renew, possibly, our franchise agreement with Charter, and at the same time, that's been our chip to play if they start wanting to restrict or withhold PEG funds because we're not broadcasting. We've got to get on that. I think, for me, it's a personal goal as far as the communication with the public, and part of me really likes the fact that we're, as a board, not in the paper that much anymore because we're not out there. But at the same time, we're not out there, and people aren't hearing all of the good things or the bad things that we're doing or not doing. So I think we need to focus on that. Who's responsible? Oh. Constable's responsible. Hey, I am happy to work pretty hand in glove with you on that. I think we've got a couple of proposals in the queue. We've purchased some new equipment that should be we've ordered it. So there's stuff in motion on it to a point where it's already kind of going.
What does it come under?
PEG, Public Education and Government, might be on here.
PEG and RVTV and Rosemary's got pretty good contact on that one.
Oh yeah, you're in the middle. Sorry. I don't see it.
RVTV.
RVTV?
And Charter Communications.
It should be PEG. Can we switch
It
that?
says Charter Communications page.
Yeah.
Oh.
To have a
Okay.
dash slash.
Well, I don't like calling it RVTV. That's a contractor. We don't
So
know.
we just cross that off and just go to this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And take out Charter as well.
No, Charter's good.
Okay. Hyphen.
So maybe that's something else that needs to get in the queue. Goal setting session, mid-year budget review.
Is that something that's getting in the queue, but is there some sort of a
plan
a
for
deadline that we could arrive at that we are going to make a decision by, I'm just hypothesizing, July 31, we need to make a decision while we're doing this,
right.
if not before.
Well, I think we could break it up into steps. Now the past board just spent, I don't know, $18,000 on equipment, which we needed to do to get the system, whatever it is that we want to go forward with. For me, it's I don't know where you guys sit on every issue. We don't have an established policy as a board. The previous one wanted to see us broadcast. I don't even know if that's, I mean, if you guys don't want to do it, I do, we don't do it. So those are, I'm sorry if we have to go from baby steps, but I got to know those things before the board moves forward on policy. You need to know this.
Yeah, well, since I'm the liaison and I don't know where we stand on this, I need to find out where we are, what I need to do.
I truly want to see it.
Right.
So I'm supporting that.
The second step is who's going to run it? What kind of resources are we willing to provide whatever entity?
Yeah.
Are we going to just contract with RVTV using general funds? Are we going to go with a citizen group? Who's going to review either of those things? What kind of content are we putting up there? All of those kinds of questions need to be vetted through the liaison, through the board, and then ultimately a timeline of implementing what kind of...
Does someone have a list of the equipment that we have?
We do. We have a list of the stuff we bought.
Okay.
Could
you provide me that list and the information on that?
That might be one of the goal meetings or whatever.
Yeah, because I can see we can still be talking about this in 2016.
Yes.
We need to.
Part of me.
So we would need to we need to find out if we're going to contract with someone to run this, if we're going to do it internally or what we're going to do.
Sure.
Yep.
When you went through the equipment, approval of the equipment, I was at that meeting that day, but I didn't know then, and I still don't know, whether our own IT department has the expertise to do that, or even the time. I don't know that.
They can do the equipment, do the live streaming, but they can do the camera work, but that's really not their area of expertise, or we don't really have the resources to do that.
Okay.
My goal is for IT to be kind of a backup to whatever kind of group handles the day-to-day operations. And I think we need a broader deal than just one guy, no offense, but it's got to be a group of people so that people get sick, they're out of town, they shouldn't be doing something every day. That's a lot of responsibility for one person. Or maybe it works out with the new programming stuff that we have and IT is the backup. I don't know, but we've got a lot of stuff to vet. But what I didn't want to do, especially, is jump into something last year that we hadn't totally vetted, to have a big change up this year, have a gap in broadcasting. This needs to be well thought through and something we can carry forward that'll transcend boards and people changing. Doesn't require a lot of befitting general fund, resources. That's my goal.
Okay, can you get the information to me on the budget and equipment, and perhaps even a copy of the past contract that we had?
RVTV.
The previous contract that we had.
And the citizen portion of that. When we were 50-50 split or something like that. That'd be great.
Well, there was another option in there too, wasn't there, as hiring a
John
contracted person to do, and then Brand had also.
Oh, right. That's that version too.
So there's several different options.
Yeah, it's kind of open.
So all the various permutations make you ripple over to your...
We need your desk.
I need a desk.
How do you guys feel about county cars? I know just in the short term you guys are moving around quite a bit. But do you prefer to use your own? Do you prefer to use a county vehicle? And if so, are we going to need 3? 1 for each? I don't know.
They're surplus cars, so.
They're just sitting there, so it's not like we're taking one out of
They're
patrol.
surplus, maybe they should be sold.
That's another thing. We need to...
I actually prefer to use my own car.
Right.
I'm familiar with it. I know how it is mechanically. You know, if I have to do anything, you know,
You're responsible.
I'm responsible.
Yeah, now, Commissioner Reedy had a policy. He wanted to use his own car, and he didn't care about getting reimbursed. Frankly, he went to airport meetings, and that's pretty much what he was using. RV-COG as well. I travel. I'm all over the place. I started just doing my own car, and I didn't do reimbursement. Then I did reimbursement. Now I'm using a county vehicle when I'm going on county business, and I will continue to do that as long as my schedule.
What kind of vehicle is it?
It's a Jeep. It's out of the sheriff's office. So, but we also have a Crown. We also have a Crown Vic, but we have probably a list of 25, 30 vehicles that we could choose from. Mine is one that's not in rotation to come back if the sheriff's office gets funding at any particular level. It's probably one of the lower. It's not a patrol type of vehicle, but traveling up and back from Salem.
Well, what I was going to suggest is that, and this actually comes from my background, is that if you're going somewhere and you do a trip analysis as to what is cheaper, is it cheaper for the county for me to take my car and get reimbursed mileage, or is it cheaper for the county?
It's cheaper for me to use a county vehicle.
To use a county vehicle?
Yep.
Okay. That take into consideration that we have the vehicle, or the vehicle could be sold?
Yeah, we do have a travel policy, especially if you go out of the county 50 miles. We have a travel policy. You use your own vehicle, it's one-way mileage that we pay, which right now I think just went up to 56.5 cents. Or you can use a county vehicle. The county vehicles is based on mileage also, and it includes depreciation in it.
So it is cheaper to use a county vehicle?
It depends on your trip and the length, to be honest with you. But it's done always. Many people. We also have where you can rent a car, and then the county picks up the full tab if you're doing a long-range trip.
So if you're going down to Medford, for instance, I mean that would be
That'd be
RV-COG,
within.
which would be the most economical.
Most people use their personal vehicles, and then we reimburse them. Some ask for reimbursement, some don't. It's a preference, but they're available for you. But you know, if there's a county car just sitting here available, and I'm not sure if Fleet's just charging you a flat rate or what on it.
They're just based on usage.
Yeah,
really.
on mileage.
On mileage.
They've already depreciated out, so we're just...
That's just pure mileage.
All right, so if we, for instance, if I had a meeting out in Merlin, the airport board, which I will have meetings out in Merlin, I live out in Murphy. Do I have to come here and pick up the car to go to that meeting because they're evening meetings, or do I take the car after I leave here?
No,
how do we do it?
I don't take mine home.
No,
The county car.
Yeah.
I leave it here. I will sometimes if I'm going to Portland or whatever, and I'm leaving at 4 in the morning. I'm not coming in here and wasting a half an hour transferring the car. I'm packing it up at home, and then I'm going the next day. That's the only situation where I ever bring up a county vehicle home.
So then it may make more sense for you to use your own vehicle, so you're not having to stop here and pick up a vehicle.
Right, because if you're going to an hour-and-a-half meeting and you're spending an hour
Yeah.
switching vehicles, that's
Yeah.
not economic in time.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well then I think that probably just using personal vehicle in the close proximity of Jackson,
And then when
Josephine
you're
County,
running
but if I have to go to Salem, I would take one of the county cars.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And it's flexible, so you can, maybe one trip you decide to take your own for other reasons, and then the next time you want to use a county one.
This brings up a good point about how to use your county card and stuff like that. What's reimbursable? I think you need to sit down with Rosemary and finance. What I wanted to do is, if in the next 2 weeks that you guys both had an expectation of using a county card, and I'm out for 2 days in the next 2 weeks, and we have one county card, we need to get another one in here in the short term, but it doesn't sound like
Doesn't look like,
doing
doesn't
too
look like
much.
we would have to.
Nobody's
I mean, I
going
don't
to.
see where we would.
And we haven't even really gotten to the AOC calendar yet, the Association of Counties. What committees, if any you plan on attending and being on? I don't go hardly anymore. Might be a good idea to go to the first couple if you have an interest, but I usually do them via the telephone. If I'm presenting, then I'm jumping up there, but otherwise I'm here.
Well, they'll have county college too.
Cheryl's off to do
Well, I
part of it.
sent her a notice that I am not going to do it this year. Yeah, I wanted to, but there's just too much.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I told her there's no way I'm going to do this first term or the first
No,
quarter.
not this year.
I'm just not going to do that.
So I've withdrawn.
Oh.
I keep getting emails, but
Yeah.
but I've notified her that I'm withdrawing this term.
Because that involves trips. So.
Right. No.
Okay. Anything further for the good of the order? I think we've accomplished everything on our set list. Going once?
You're all satisfied we've done well? Okay.
Then we adjourn to 10:30. See you tomorrow night at 5:30. What is
4 o'clock general discussion.
4 o'clock general discussion? That's our next joint deal.
Is that today?
It's tomorrow. Great.